Hi. Hi, welcome. Hi, welcome. Today we're reading Remnants of Filth, Vol.1. And it will be a good time. It will be a good time. I have tea. It is actually, it is 6 a.m., but, for me, but it is also, like, night for me. Or, like, I've been up all night, so. Anyway, I have tea. I have some good old persimmon tea. It is so good. I love it so much. But yeah, we're continuing on Remnants of Filth, and I'm so excited, and I want to see the filth that they get up to. Know what I mean? Oh man, the first 3 chapters of this book are beautiful, and I love it, and I already love it, and I cannot wait for what we have in store for us. I actually do not know how many volumes this series is, but well, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. We're gonna read it. We're gonna read it. We're gonna read it. Anyway, how's your day today? I've been having a weird day because I suddenly got all the motivation to do all my things. PMDD ended, and then something else started. But I suddenly got all the motivation, and then I got too much motivation, and I ended up doing something I was not supposed to do that was not a high priority, but that's fine. Because I don't have any deadlines right now. So I'm okay. I hope you're having a good day. If not, I don't know, man. Good luck, I guess. I don't think this stream is gonna help. I will put up some trigger warnings. Trigger warnings. La, 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 la. Oh, sorry. I've been on repeat. Fucking Alien Station has been on repeat for me. I am going to trigger warnings. Trigger warnings us. There we go. There we go, and I'm gonna pin that, and I can't see anything. I'm gonna pin this message to the top. Manually unpin or end of stream. Yes, there we go. Perfect. Okay. Okay, we're good to go. I do have my chat box up here. For VOD watchers, I think it would be helpful to understand what's going on. And because last time we got a raid from our lovely friend Celia, who had just debuted. Crazy bringing in her debut stream audience into this, but you know what? We gays we gay lovers stick together. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Anyway, without further ado, let's move on to chapter 4, called Moji Puts On an Act. What does that mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? I've still got my book arm, by the way. I know I just said without further ado, but you know me. I've still got my book arm. Things aren't doing the things I want them to. Just let me know if it's too much or too... I did lower it. I realized it was, like, in a weird position last time. So, it's in a different position now. Hopefully it's better. It's a little weird. It's a little weird because it doesn't connect to the right part and it moves a little wonky, but you know what? It's the best I got for now. So, we're sticking with it until I find it, I don't know, until I think of something else, I guess. Alright. Chapter 4. Let's see how good my reading is today. The next day, the army returned. The whole city bustled with activity as residents of all ages poured out onto the streets as far as the eye could see. Northern Frontier Army, welcome back! As the procession entered the city, a strange atmosphere spilled forth from both sides of the road. It was as if water had been poured into a pot of sizzling oil, then swiftly capped with a wooden lid to seal all that crackling excitement beneath it. What the fuck, meat bun? What the fuck? I don't even know what the fuck you did, but that was beautiful. People lowered their heads respectfully, but they still snuck glances out the corner of their eyes to peek at the elite army riding past. Moji wore an Imperial Army uniform, his steel-toed military boots in their stirrups. Other than his belt and vambraces, which glinted cold silver, he was in all black. Shihujin, what the hell? Shihujin is so handsome, I can't stand it. I'm dying. I think he just looked at me. Stop kidding yourself. How would he have eyes for anyone but Princess Mengzi? Oh boy. But he hasn't married the princess yet. He turns 30 this year, and he doesn't have a wife or a betrothed, or any concubines. Can't I at least fantasize? Seriously. Fantasize, but that's all it'll ever be. As for the officers and soldiers, their expressions were much more cheerful than Moji's, as they waved happily at the civilians lining the streets. Yue Chunqing even delightedly accepted flowers from maidens to put in his hair. Only after Moji glanced at him in warning did he sulkingly resign himself to holding and sniffing the flowers. All in all, looking quite pitiful. Just let him put the flowers in his hair. Let him be a pretty boy. It's okay. It was a long road from the city gates, and they wouldn't reach the Imperial Palace for a while yet. Yue Chunqing didn't behave for very long at all before he started twirling his flowers again. He grinned flirtatiously at the onlookers and called out to them as the procession advanced. Hey, ladies! Aren't you lovely? This humble one is seeking concubines, food and lodging included. Oh, concubines, food and lodging included. Yue Chunqing! Moji snapped. Yue Chunqing covered his mouth. In the sunlight, the Northern Frontier Army's glinting weapons and flashing armor were a magnificent sight as they rode through the capital. They were still Gumeng's old soldiers, but they could no longer behave as they once had. In the old days, when Gumeng returned victorious, he had waved and teased from his horse at their head, while the happy, relaxed soldiers behind him had laughed as they accepted wines and desserts from the civilians. But Shihujin was their commander now. This man didn't even smile, so no one even dared to let loose. The slow march from the city gates ended up taking more than an hour. Upon their arrival, the army was greeted with a long and tedious merit ceremony in which they had to kneel and kowtow and give thanks. It was all terribly irritating. Even when Moji finally made it to the evening feast, he had neither peace nor quiet. As Yue Chunqing would have said, he found himself obligated to deal with those young mistresses in a manner chaste yet aloof, reserved yet courteous. On that note, the first time Yue Chunqing joked about Moji's chastity, Zhihijin had made him transcribe maidenly virtues 100 times as punishment. Without speaking a word out loud, Zhihijin had said clearly, Yue Chunqing is the problem that you don't know the word chastity? Come here, I'll let you learn to your heart's content. What? What? Okay. Is he gonna cut off his penis? Okay. But no matter how many times Yue Chunqing sniffled through the words, maidenly virtues are boundless, womanly grievances are endless, the joke that Shihijin was chaste yet aloof, reserved yet courteous, still secretly spread throughout the entire army. Everyone else thought so too. Shihijin was already 30 years of age, but he still refused to marry, all to wait for Princess Mengzi. That much was obvious from the situation at the feast. A crowd of little ladies from noble houses were chattering around Moji, but he wouldn't even look at them. Jihajin, it's been a long time. Jihajin, you seem to have lost weight. Jihajin, what do you think of this pendant I'm wearing today? In this group of high-born young ladies, the most provocative was Princess Yanping, the younger sister of Princess Mengzi. She had a gorgeous figure despite having only recently come of age, and she gazed around with eyes that overflowed with amorous intent. Ooh, that felt so nice to say. That sentence was so beautiful. Eyes that overflowed with amorous intent. That feels so good in the mouth. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, try it. It was beautiful. She walked towards Moji with a smile, her lips as tender as a gooseberry. When Yue Chenqing spied this from afar, he didn't bother to swallow his dessert before grabbing a friend he hadn't seen in a while. Hey! What do you want? Come, look over there, Yue Chenqing said excitedly. Isn't that Princess Yanping and Jihejun? What's... Oh, no, this is the other person speaking. Sorry. Isn't that Princess Yanping and Jihejun? What's interesting about that? Princess Yanping doesn't stand a chance. No, I want you to see the legendary chaste yet aloof, reserved yet courteous Jihejun with your own eyes. Aren't you tired of copying maidenly virtues? His friend asked. Yue Chenqing was the sort of person who never learned his lesson. Grinning, he dragged his friend closer to eavesdrop on the general and the princess. Brother-in-law. Still smiling, Princess Yanping came to stop in front of Moji. Her tone was flirtatious from the instant she opened her mouth. Why is she being flirtatious if she believes that if she just said brother-in-law? That's fucking weird. That's fucking weird, girly. Moji lowered his lashes, pausing at this form of address, and then chastely turned to leave. Yanping hastily stopped him. Brother-in-law, you've been standing here expressionlessly this whole time, ignoring all the girls. Are you cross that my sister isn't here? He paused before replying, aloof. Princess, you're mistaken. I am not yet wed. I'm just saying it for fun. Controlling his temper, Moji was reserved in his response. This is no laughing matter. I gotta sneeze. Hold on. No. It's not coming. It's still in my nose, though. It's just waiting. It's just waiting for the opportune moment. It's just waiting to catch me off guard. This is no laughing matter. Alright, don't get mad. My sister's health hasn't been especially good these past few years. She caught a cold last night. Otherwise, she definitely would have come to see you. Moji knew Princess Mengzi's poor health was inextricably linked to himself, so he courteously asked, How is she? Ha! Oh, wrong person. Ha! Yue Chenqing cackled. See, I told you so. Yue Chenqing's friend felt like he was laughing too loudly. No matter how noisy the banquet was, there was still a chance he would attract Jihejun's... Is it June or Jun? June? It's probably June, right? I don't know. Jihejun's... I can't actually say it. I don't know why I can't say it that way. Jihejun's attention, and even if Yue Chenqing didn't mind copying those trite passages on womanly conduct, his friend wouldn't be able to take the hit to his pride. He clapped a hand over Yue Chenqing's mouth and dragged him away. Notwithstanding their departure, Princess Yanping and Moji's conversation continued. Yanping kept smiling. After spending 2 years alone at the frontier, you still think only of my sister. Don't worry. She only had a headache and a fever. It's the same issue, as you know well. She'll be fine with some rest. Moji said nothing. Let's be honest. Given my sister's health, how could she handle Jihejun if she didn't recover first? Bro. As Yanping spoke, her admiring gaze swept courteously over Moji's long legs. Girl! Then lingered on the high bridge of his nose. She smiled. No, what? She sighed. If my sister doesn't get better, she'll never be able to marry. Are you really going to spend your whole life saving yourself? What? Sorry. Hold on. Start over. If my sister doesn't get better, she'll never be able to marry. Are you really going to spend your whole life saving yourself for her? Moji remained silent. Wouldn't that be an awful shame? The princess pressed close. You called him brother-in-law. What do you mean? Girl! The princess pressed close to Moji, redolent with powdery sweetness, her dark hair decked in jewels, and a rose-colored peony drawn between her brows. Oh, pretty. With a smile, she deliberately leaned forward, her pale bosom heaving. I was waiting for it. Hey, for once it's okay, it might be gay. It might still be gay because he's been silent this whole time. Boy. Girl! Okay, y'all, what the fuck? Why don't you give me a try? I'm all grown up now. I'm no less than her. Yanping tried to wrap her soft arms around his waist. It's just spending the night together. Don't take it bro, I can't get it out. Don't take it too seriously. As she giggled, the pale pink tip of her tongue flicked over her lips, ever so slightly. You'll like it. That was the end of it. Don't take it too don't take it too seriously. This sentence topped the list of sayings Moji hated more than anything. I feel you. Okay, I feel you. Princess Yanping had not only failed to attract him, she jabbed him exactly where he hurt most. Oh, does he have trauma about this? Does he have trauma? Oh, he has trauma about this. Just this phrase. Oh my god, I know what it is, and I'm ready for it. Moji glanced at her, pausing, then said coldly, "Move aside." Hey, you? But Moji had already walked away from her with a frown. Amid the fluttering tassels of Fei Yao Terrace, Moji grabbed another Lu Li glass cup from a servant. Its contents glimmered with an amber hue. His leather-clad legs didn't relax until he strode to the terrace's edge, where he leaned against the red lacquer railing to watch the city lights. Okay. Free of that maddening haul, he caught his breath and took a sip of the berry wine in a cup, the jut of his throat bobbing. Don't do that. Oh boy. Moji had been subjected to many years of the ladies' favor, but he still didn't like it, nor was he used to it. In the past, few people had admired Moji. When he walked the streets, hardly anyone had snuck glances at him. Back then, he had been terribly bad-tempered. How bad exactly? In comparison, the current Jihajun was an absolute sweetheart. Oh boy. Okay. Later, there had been a massive upheaval within his family, and everyone had thought this young master of the Mo clan was doomed. The other noble cultivators ignored him, and the cultivators of common birth didn't dare approach him. Only Gumeng, that lunatic who didn't fear death, was willing to be his comrade. He was the only one who chose to keep that floundering young master company and offer him comfort. Don't worry, even if you're no longer a noble young master, you'll always be you. There's an ember in your heart, and sooner or later it will glow. I can see it. The others will too. This guy's a romantic. In the end, Moji survived the crisis and escaped from the Mo clan's shadow. He fought at every frontier, achieving more military merits than even his ancestors. No longer did anyone think of him as the only son of the Mo clan. They only treated him as the venerated uh, Jihejun. More maidens began to think highly of him. After Gumong defected, the maidens changed their type. They all flocked to admire Moji instead, and some even sighed. Ah, it's good for men to be a little stuffy. They're more honest that way. At least they won't let us down like Gumong. Even though Jihejun has bad temper, he tells it like it is. If there's anything he wants to rant about, he'll say it outright. He won't ever put on an act. A brothel girl, once went so far as to smack a table and heroically proclaim, with a hand on her hip, Jihejun is the most innocent man I've ever seen. I swear on my honor, if Jihejun came to bed me, I'd pay him before I'd take his money. Fair enough. As it turned out, Jihejun really did come that next day, not to bed her, but to shut down the brothel with a murderous look on his face. Okay. I don't think you should do that, my guy. Just because one girl said something like that, you're putting all of them in boy. Boy, fuck you. Boy, fuck you. This is their livelihoods. Oh my god. He's getting a point crossed off for him. Seducing Shenjun, how shameless. Your punishment is to go become woman of good families. Oh, I could have just read on. After Moji finished shutting down the brothel and berating, he wasn't beating anyone, and berating them ferociously, he left in a rage. Shenjun has a footnote, a polite term of address for a cultivator. Cool. And also left behind a crowd of brothel girls wailing that they'd never again sell their bodies because Jihejun had persuaded them to leave the trade, tearfully attesting to the incomparable goodness of Jihejun's character. What? They're down bad. It made no sense. People loved to take a person who seemed decent and good and enshrine them in their hearts, pinning all their beautiful fantasies on that person's shoulders just to bring a little light to themselves. But Moji had no wish to be consecrated as their boring, holy idol. He wasn't as perfect as those girls believed. There were miserably wretched things in his past. Did I say that right? There were miserably wretched things in his past, things he couldn't speak of to anyone. Like the gay things? But no one understood. So what Gumong had said was right, but it was also wrong. Moji did indeed throw off the Mo clan's shadow to shine on his own merit in front of everyone's eyes, but he knew very well that his glory belonged solely to the flawless Jihejun of their imaginations. It had nothing to do with that trapped and lonely youth from long ago. From beginning to end, only Gumong had ever walked toward that downtrodden young master, toward that youth with an uncertain future. Only he had ever been sincerely happy to be reunited with his little Shidi from the academy, reaching out to him in delight, when with a little canine peeking from that brilliant smile. Stop making him endearing! Before the warmth of a bonfire, he'd smiled and said, "It's been a long time, Moshidi. Can I sit with you?" It's been a long time. What the fuck? What the fuck? Wait. It's been a long time. Can I sit with you? Suddenly, someone behind Moji asked a very similar question. Moji's fingertips shook. The wine in his luli cup almost spilled. He turned his face as if in a dream and saw, beneath the moonlit blossoms of the foxglove trees, a familiar silhouette calmly watching him on the Feiyao terrace. No, what the fuck? Oh my god. Oh my god. That was so good. I didn't Bro, how'd you just do that? How'd she do that? How'd she do that? Guys, how'd she do that? What the fuck? How'd she do that? That was the end of the chapter. How'd she do that? Mm-mm. Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh, you can't just say that. Stop. Okay. God damn it. Okay, I could just read the next. Oh man. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. The next chapter. Chapter 5. Damn. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's called What About Gumang? Exactly. What about him? What about him? Okay. Fine. Fine, I'll accept it. Fine. But it wasn't Gumang. Of course it wouldn't be Gumang. Moji mocked himself as he came to his senses. What was he thinking? The speaker was a man with gentle features. He sat in a wooden wheelchair, a white coat draped over his shoulders and a blanket, the color of lotus root, tucked over his paralyzed legs. Moji was rather taken aback. Qingzhu Elder? Qingzhu Elder, Jiang Yeshu, was that was the end of the sentence. Oh my god, this is gonna brain my fire. It's gonna burn my fire my brain. Oh, okay. Qingzhu Elder, Jiang Yeshu. Yeshu? He was Yue Chunqing's elder brother. Jiang Yeshu was different from Yue Chunqing, that carefree and silly kid. He had lived a hard and Spartan life. His mother had passed away when he was young, and later, because he insisted on marrying the daughter of a criminal, he had been kicked out of the Yue clan. Clan? Clan. Did I say clang? I probably did. At the time, he and his maiden hadn't had much money, so their wedding was very simple. Due to pressure from the Yue clan, I keep saying clan, only a few people had persevered to attend. 2 of whom were Moji and Gumang. Moji had gifted them a small courtyard. Gumang stared tongue-tied at the land deed and told Jiang Yeshu, "Bro, I'm totally broke. There's no way I can afford to get you out of these." Pfft. Everyone laughed, and amid the cheer, Gumang puffed out his cheeks and played them Song of Courtship on his sona. Footnote: Phoenix Seeking Phoenix, a famous love song written by Sima Zhangru for Zhou Wenjun, with whom the latter eloped. Fair enough. But the good times didn't last. Jiang Yezhu and his wife both joined the military. The battlefield was pitiless, taking first his wife and then his legs. Damn, that sucks. Moji didn't know how this man had endured. Fortunately, Jiang Yezhu I'm never gonna get it. Maybe, oh baby, please. Please give me a pronunciation guide for this. Pronunciation. No, it just has your Chunqing. My bad. No. Okay, it's fine. Everything's fine. Moji didn't know how this man had endured. Fortunately, Jiang Yeju was tougher than he looked. In the end, he pulled himself together and secured a position as an elder at the Cultivation Academy, instructing students in the practice of artificing. But this had angered his father, as the Yue clan. Oh, why do I keep saying clan? Clan. Oh my god! As the Yue clan was most powerful noble family of artificers. So was the most powerful noble family of artificers. Artificers. What is wrong with me? In Chonghua. Yue Juntian immediately ordered the Cultivation Academy to oust Jiang Yezhu from his position. Bitch ass. This unfilial son was disowned and no longer shares our surname. How dare he make a living off the Yue clan's work? Bitch, I'll kill you. I'll kill you. He's probably gonna die soon, isn't he? The headmaster couldn't convince Yue Juntian otherwise and had no choice but to apologetically let Jiang Yezhu go. After watching this take place, Moji had decided to find Jiang Yezhu. I'm never gonna get it! Jiang Yezhu, a position at the Bureau of Military Affairs. Yet unexpectedly, the very next day, before Moji could even bring it up, the headmaster of the Cultivation Academy begged Jiang Yezhu to return. This time, no matter how the Yue clan cried foul, it was no use. The headmaster only said that they had taken advice from a dear friend. To this day, the identity of that dear friend was a mystery in Chonghua. Jiang Yezhu and the Yue clan loathed each other. He rarely ever appeared at these feasts, which was why Moji was so startled to see him. What are you doing here? Jiang Yezhu said, I came to see Chunqing. Yue Chunqing had been young when Jiang Yezhu left. Although many of his memories had faded by now, this older brother had never really let go of his little sibling. Yue Chunqing was unwilling to acknowledge Jiang Yezhu as his brother, but in truth, he didn't make trouble for him like his brethren did. And to see you, Jiang Yezhu smiled. There was no sign of you anywhere. I thought maybe you couldn't bear the noise, so I came to the terrace to look at you, and as I expected, to look for you, and as I expected, you're out here standing in the wind. If you want to find me, have someone send word. Why come out yourself? It's best not to expose those wounds on your legs to the cold. I'll help bring you back inside. It's nothing. They haven't heard in a long time, Jiang Yezhu said. I came here to thank you. Chunqing is immature, and I'm grateful to you for taking care of him these past 2 years. Moji was silent for a while. Your brother is still young, he said. There's nothing wrong with wanting to have some fun. Besides, he's actually made quite a lot of progress these 2 years at the frontier. Is that so? Jiang Yezhu smiled warmly. He didn't cause any trouble for you? A pause. Only the slightest bit. He was still more help than anything. Jiang Yezhu sighed and nodded. Good. That's good. They were quiet for a moment. The breeze rustled through the tassels hanging over Fei Yao Terrace, setting them swaying. Jihejun, you've been gone for a long time, Jiang Yezhu said abruptly. I assume you haven't been able to keep up with many of the happenings in our capital. This man had always been clever. This man had always been clever, observant, and exceptionally perceptive. It's too noisy in the hall, and I don't want to return any time soon. Jihejun, if there's anything you want to know, you only need to ask. Ooh. There isn't anything in particular, really, Moji said after a pause. Liar! You liar! He turned to look at the moon over the capital, the city lights below twinkling like stars. I don't have any family here. Jiang Yezhu knew that Moji was stiff by nature. He was in no rush and simply nodded as he looked at him. Just as expected, Moji soon cleared his throat to ask a question. How have you been these past few years? Jiang Yezhu smiled. Not bad. What about His Imperial Majesty? All has gone well for him. Princess Mengzhi? Safe and sound. That's good, Moji said, hesitant. Jiang Yezhu's eyes glimmered with an unreadable light. Is there anything else you want to know about? No. But a little later, Moji finished the last bit of wine in his cup, gazed at the lustrous night, and finally couldn't help but ask. What about Gumong? How is he? The look in Jiang Yezhu's eyes seemed to say, after all those twists and turns, you finally mentioned him. He said, Not well, of course. Moji said nothing for a moment, nodding slightly. His throat went a little dry. I thought so. If you're willing, you should still go visit him. After spending so much time in such an abusive place, he's changed a great deal. Moji blinked in confusion. Frowning, he asked, Where? Jiang Yezhu hadn't expected this reaction. He widened his eyes, also dumbfounded. You don't know? Know what? Uh-oh. They regarded each other in silence. A great gale of laughter suddenly came from the palace hall. The shadows of drunken men and women were cast against the windows, their silhouettes overlapping chaotically. Moji had a sudden realization, his eyes flying open. He couldn't have been. He spent 2 years at Lomei Pavilion, Jiang Yezhu hadn't expected Yue Qingqing to keep such important information under wraps, and he was left a little uneasy at having to tell Moji himself. Moji's face had taken on a sickly pallor. Lomei Pavilion. What kind of place was this? It was a land of bliss for the nobles and hell on earth for its prisoners. The people trapped in the pavilion were hollowed out and devoured overnight. The gentle were transfigured beyond recognition, the fierce likewise destroyed. It was a place that shattered the dignity of any slave, where one misfortune led to a lifetime of abuse. Life there was hundreds of times worse than death. They had actually put Gumong there? They had actually put him. Moji swallowed thickly. The first time he tried to speak, nothing came out. Only the second attempt did he manage anything coherent. On Wang Shujun's orders? Jiang Yezhu paused, then sighed and nodded. Wang Shujun hates him. You know this. Moji was silent, abruptly turning away, and looked into the boundless night. He didn't make another sound. Can I just say, that whole scene was beautiful. I felt I could feel the cold breeze and hear the wind and hear the laughter of the lights behind me and the shadows, and oh my god, the description of everything, that was so beautiful. I was right there with them. Oh my god, I could draw art of that, and everyone would agree that was what that, except I wouldn't be able to draw it well enough, but you know what I mean. It's just, wow. It's like I could taste it. God, her writing. Ever since Gumong was sent back to Changhua 2 years ago, Moji hadn't thought much about what would become of him. At the time, he hadn't known what exactly Gumong's punishment would be. He thought that if Gumong were imprisoned, he might go take a look at him, or maybe sneer at and mock him a little. If Gumong became an invalid, he wouldn't sympathize. He might even go and make things harder for him. So many years had passed. Even if they had once shared something soft, The accumulated hatred ran too deep. There was no chance of reconciliation. The only circumstance under which Moji could imagine amiably sharing a jug of wine with Gumong was in a cemetery, with Gumong buried in the earth and himself standing upon it. Then he might talk to the man like he once had, and place a bouquet of red peonies shaped from spiritual energy on his grave. I don't know if that's actually what you want, my guy. I don't know if that's actually what you want. At least he could afford them a peaceful, final farewell. But Gumong had always managed to surprise Moji. Moji hadn't expected that, even now, things would be the same. Lome Pavilion. Those words tormented Moji. He said them again and again in his mind, as if trying to glean the slightest bit of pleasure from them. But in the end, he realized it was a useless endeavor. They gave him no satisfaction. Instead, he felt only extreme disgust and anger. He didn't know where these feelings were coming from. Wasn't karmic retribution supposed to be a cause for celebration? Moji propped his elbow against the car again. Sorry, there's a bird being loud as hell. It sounded really weird. So anyway, Moji propped an elbow against the carved railing. He wanted to move his fingers, but they felt far too stiff. He turned to look at Zhang Yeju's face, but he seemed indescribably blurry. Waves of dizziness ran through him, and pangs of agony twisted his gut. Gumong, sent to Lome Pavilion. For 2 years already. Moji thought he should burst into wild laughter. That would be the right thing to do. That would be in line with the bone-deep hatred everyone expected of him. At this thought, he really did maniacally move his mouth in an attempt to pry some joy out from within. But all that came from between his teeth was a hollow scoff. His vision seemed to flash with an image of that beautiful face he had seen the first time they met. Those smiling black eyes gazed at him in the sunlight. "Nice to meet you, Moshiri." Then he seemed to see a flash of Gumong's dazzling figure from after they enlisted, as he turned to blink at Moji, amid a noisy group of his scoundrel buddies. His long and slender eyes, slightly upturned at the ends, carved into tender crescents as he shot him a genuine smile. He also thought of the sort of things Gumong had said after he became a general. There were grinning, glib-tongued quips. "Come here, enlist with Wangba oh my god. Come here, enlist with Wangba today, and next year you'll be rich off soldiers' pay." There were furious shouts among mountains of corpses and seas of blood. "Come on, if you still got a pulse, you better hurry and crawl the fuck up. I'll take you home." Stop. Stop it. Stop. What the fuck? And then, the time he knelt in the throne room, begging the emperor not to leave his soldiers in a mass grave. "I want to ask healers to identify their bodies. Please, this isn't meaningless. Every soldier's gravestone should have their name on it. Your Imperial Majesty, I don't want my brothers to wander lost. They've recognized me as their commander. Whether they're men or ghosts, I have to bring them home. I promised. They don't want a lavish funeral. They only want the names they deserved from the beginning." And that last desperate, tearful howl as he lost control in front of the throne. So slaves deserve to die? So slaves don't deserve to be buried? They shed their blood just the same. They died just the same. They already didn't have parents, and now they don't even have names. How come the Yue clan, Mo clan, and Murong clan's dead names are heroes, but when my brothers die, they're thrown into a pit? Tell me why! That was the first time Gumong had cried in the palace. Note first time. He wasn't merely kneeling. He was curled up, hunched over, crouching as he cried. He'd returned straight from battle. He hadn't even washed away the filth and the blood. His face was covered with traces of soot, and his tears left patchy tracks. In the throne room, the god of war, who always represented hope on the battlefield, was beaten back into his original lowly form, like an unidentified corpse. The palace hall was filled with military and civil officials. Whoa. The palace hall was filled with military and civil officials in solemn and proper attire. Many of them looked disdainfully at this commoner general, whose clothes were tattered and unbearably filthy. Gumang howled, choking back sobs like a dying beast. I said I'd take them home. Have some mercy. Let me keep my promise. But he knew it was useless. In the end, he stopped begging and he stopped crying. Instead, he muttered over and over, his eyes unfocused, almost as if speaking to wandering souls. I'm sorry. It's my fault. I'm not worthy of being your general. I'm just a slave too. As these memories came to mind in bits and pieces, Moji felt a splitting pain in his head. He brought his hand to his brow, covering his face in its shadows. Beneath an expanse of icy chill, his heart was wet and cold. Jihejun, Zhang Yezhi said. Are you okay? No one responded. After a long while, a toneless voice finally floated, indifferently, out through the shadows. Yes, why wouldn't I be? Zhang Yezhi looked at him and sighed. How long have I known you? Why bother to pretend in front of me? The copper bells chimed from the eaves, and long yellow tassels danced in the wind. It used to be the names Moji and Gumang. It used to be that the names Moji and Gumang were always mentioned in the same breath. You learned cultivation at the academy together, you stepped into the battlefield together, and you became generals together, Zhang Yezhi said. You remain as distinguished as ever, but he's long since fallen from grace. You have so many years of equal fame. You were dubbed the nation's twin jades, and now you're the only one left. I doubt you're truly pleased. Zhang Yezhi paused, turning to look at Moji. Besides, he was once your very best friend. Moji lowered his long, thick lashes. I was blind in my youth, he replied after a time. But after he defected, you still believed he had some secret. You believed that for a long time. My blindness was quite severe, Moji said. He looked at the cup in his hand. A few drops of wine remained, glimmering the color of dusk. He didn't want to continue this conversation any longer. It's gotten windy. Qingzhi Elder, let's return to the hall. Can I just... Oh my god. That's fine, that's so fine. You can just hurt me like that. I'm okay with that. I'm not like fully crying, but I am tearing up. I have been tearing up that whole time. Oh my god. Oh. Moji spent the next few days after he learned of Gumong's whereabouts in a state of deep irritation. At first, he tried to repress this undesirable emotion, but as time passed, his frustration increased. Moji knew he'd grown sick in the heart, and only Luomei Pavilion had the cure. Ooh. Finally, one night at twilight, a carriage draped in black gauze set out for the northern side of the capital. Moji sat in the compartment with his eyes closed. Even though the curtains were drawn and he was the only passenger, his posture was perfect. That ridiculously handsome face was completely devoid of expression, terrifyingly stern. "My lord, we've arrived." Moji didn't immediately step out, merely pulling the curtain aside and looking out from the darkness. This hour was the peak of the imperial capital's nighttime revelry. Lit by spiritual power, 2 rows of extravagant plum blossom candles burned to augur the coming of spring, illuminating the scarlet inscription board high in the air. Lo Mei Pavilion. Daybreak's wind blew colder than ice, only to wither so quickly into mud and filth. Unlike other brothels, most of those on offer at Lo Mei were prisoners of war. Their spiritual cores had been broken, reducing them to captives and sex slaves. I guess this is when the trigger warnings come in. You know, apart from the gore, but... Oh my. Oh my. Oh my, oh my, oh my. My lord, will you be going in? Moji glanced toward the pavilion and recognized many of its patrons, all of them spoiled and rich young masters he especially disliked. He furrowed his brow. Through the back door. The carriage stopped at the rear of Lo Mei Pavilion. This was Moji's first time coming to such a place, even though he'd always been the firm and decisive type. A sliver of self-loathing snaked into his heart. Only after repeatedly saying to himself, "This general came to exact revenge," within the carriage compartment did he descend with a stormy expression. "Go back. You don't have to stay." After delivering these instructions to his coachman, Moji stood in place and looked over the terrain for a while before leaping elegantly to the roof and noiselessly slipping away under the cover of darkness. He studied Lo Mei Pavilion's layout before coming, so it wasn't hard to locate the area where the courtesans lived. Soon he arrived at a secluded garden courtyard. He pulled the hood of his cape over his head and stepped through the main entrance like a regular guest, passing door after door of lacquered vermilion. Priestess of the Flames, Sha Zhuruo of Wan Ku, Handmaiden of the Flames, Qin Feng of Wan Ku, Deputy General of the Left Battalion, Tang Zhen of the Lao Kingdom, officials of the Left Battalion, Lin Huarong of Zhuyu. Each occupant's country of origin, rank, and name were meticulously inscribed on a little wooden plaque hanging at their door. Everything was labeled clearly, so those clients with grudges against certain enemy nations could find a suitable target for their frustrations. This is so fucked. This is so fucked up. Oh my god. Oh my god. Wow. Okay. If a guest came to seek pleasure within, the name on the plaque would turn red. Otherwise, it would be black. Otherwise? At Lo Mei Pavilion, aside from Sincerity, Eternity, and those already dead, everything was available for purchase, quietly laid out on intangible shelves for the lords to take at will. With enough money, they could do anything. These men and women's smiles, charms, bodies, and even each and every one of their lives was clearly priced out. Okay. Moji glanced across the door, sleeves billowing as he strode past row upon row of corridors. The soundproofing was poor. The cries and moans of passion coming from the rooms were entirely too vivid. His frown grew deeper and his heartbeat quickened. Where was Gumong? He walked past dozens of rooms, but he still hadn't found that plaque. He climbed to the second floor and continued his search. Finally, Moji came to a stop in a secluded corner. Before him was a dark wooden plaque with delicate lettering. Traitorous subject, Gumong of Chonghua. In the entire pavilion, this was the only one labeled Chonghua. Moji's gaze landed on that little plaque with enough weight to crack it. In that moment, a dark flame seemed to ignite in those dark eyes, but its light was swiftly extinguished. He reached out, then stopped, fingers frozen an inch from the door. He had realized that the words on Gumong's plaque were red. There was a client inside. Possibly in more ways than one. Okay. That's the end of the chapter. I might skim the next few pages. Just in case there are some scenes that I should not be reading here on this platform. I will have to take a break to feed the dogs and get more tea. An ad starting soon. Perfect. Okay. I should not be reading out loud. God damn. Okay. Oh my god. Oh my god. What? Okay, that's fine. I don't think it's anything explicit. Oh my god. Oh my god. Bro. Yeah, I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay. In that case, I will be taking a little break. I will be on my BRB. I will be right back. Yeah. That's that. I'm gonna feed the dogs and get more tea, and we'll be ready for the next chapter. Chapter 6, called Reunion. A reunion indeed. Judging from the glimpses of what I just read, but alright, I will be right back. About 5 minutes. Okay, see ya. I am back. I am back. I hope you didn't miss me too much. Whew. I'm just catching my breath and waiting for my tea to cool a little bit. I have POTS probably. Okay. I have a dog in here in the room with me right now. He's so cute. He's so cute. Are we ready for this reunion? Because I don't know if we are. I'm not so sure if we are. You know, I don't even get like another cup of tea anymore. I just add more hot water to my remaining tea. And I did add some more honey in. So it's more like flavored honey tea. Slightly flavored. That is too hot, but that's fine. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh, reunion. I did read ahead a little bit, just to be safe, but oh man. Oh man, this guy. Alright. Let's get into it then. Chapter 6. Reunion. Moji's fury and disgust blazed to life once more. His face was yet impassive, but his dark eyes hid an inferno of rage. He felt hatred, but he didn't know whom he was hating. Of course he knew he shouldn't hate people who came to bed Gumong. They were only paying for a night of fun. He shouldn't hate Wang Shujun either. He was only debasing a guilty subject as ordered. So he could only hate Gumong. Moji stared at the scarlet text on the plaque, the redness swiftly infecting his eyes like an incurable disease. How familiar was this, like the return of a nightmare? Many years ago, Moji had returned upon the completion of a mission to hear that, after the new emperor had stripped him of his rank, Gumong couldn't pull himself together. Moji was told that Gumong was wasting away, drowning his woes in brothels, but he didn't believe it. Hate them, not him. He doesn't know how to do it. He's kind of I can't say he's stupid because he's not stupid. He's just very I don't even know how to describe it. I don't know. He's traumatized. Oh my god. Where was I? Many years ago, Moji was told that Gumong was wasting away drowning his woes in brothels, but he didn't believe it. Yet when Moji stood Yet when Moji stood panting like a fool in the dim light, when he strode in amid the voices of the woman and pushed aside the heavy sandalwood door, he saw that familiar silhouette in the depths of the room. Only a few months had passed. Gumong's face hadn't changed, but he no longer seemed like the same person. Gumong was lying in the bed, surrounded by glinting opulence. Incense burned slowly inside the golden beast-shaped censers, and pale wisps of smoke rose in spirals. And fumes making everything misty and unclear. When Gumong heard the door, he opened hazy black eyes to glance at Moji. As though he saw none of the anger and sadness of his old friend's face, he smiled. Something in Moji's heart seemed to shatter. I'm regressing. Something in Moji's heart seemed to shatter at the sight of the careless smile. Gumong was right, he thought. Pleasure went only skin deep. It's just sleeping together. You can do it with anyone. Why take it so seriously? Gumong had said to him. Gumong had never been shy about such things. Back in the day, he had been prone to cup Moji's uneasy face as he lay beneath him, smiling as he panted. Shidi, don't worry. You don't need to be so gentle. Your Gumong Guga is tough. You won't break me. During their years of their wild entanglement, Gumong had been fucked to the point of tears more than once, to the point where he'd mindlessly murmured Moji's name and tearily said, "I love you." But he might not have meant it. That was why Gumong could smile as he lay in the brothel with not a single care for the past. It was Moji's own fault for being stupid. Like a silly kid, he had actually believed the words said between the sheets were true. It's not like it's anything important. After the new emperor discarded him, Gumong refused to pull himself together. Perhaps the emperor's actions and the deaths of his soldiers had shattered his soul, so he wanted to languish in mud for the rest of his life. In smoke, in wine, in women. He would drown himself in whatever provided the most vivid illusions, as long as, in those illusions, he was still the young General Gu, who still had his brothers and his passion. At this moment, in Lome Pavilion, indistinct sounds of conversation could be heard from inside the room in front of Moji. Feeling faint, he walked to the window at the end of the hallway and gasped for air outside. His slender fingers tightened on the window frame, so hard they left a crack in the wooden lattice. Faithless bitch. The rims of Moji's eyes were scarlet as he stared out into the night. These blistering, harsh words had come into his mind, unbidden. This was the first time he had ever thought to use such vicious language to describe someone. Gumong, that bitch. Moji had once believed he understood Gumong well, that he knew Gumong better than anyone else. He had been so stupid, holding Gumong in his heart, treating him as the most intimate of his friends. Of friends, not his friends, he only has one friend, clearly. He had been so ignorant. Gumong had been clear in his teaching. Sleeping together didn't mean anything, and sleeping together multiple times only meant they liked each other's bodies. But Moji still hadn't been able to stop himself from treating Gumong like a beloved, never to be betrayed. Oh, it hurts. He was old-fashioned and stubborn when it came to this. No one could change his obstinate temperament. That was why he don't... Oh my god. I can't deal with this. I actually can't deal with this. They're too sad. I didn't think I'd be saying this, but they're too fucking sad. That was why he'd once believed so firmly in Gumong. Even when Gumong became the target of 1,000 grievances, Moji had stood in the great hall of Chenghua's imperial palace and told everyone, "I, Moji, can swear on my life that Gumong would never turn traitor." But Gumong lied to him. Gumong betrayed him, betrayed Moji's trust again and again, betrayed his hope day after day. In the end, Gumong personally stabbed Moji in the chest and told him that everything had gone far past the point of return. Moji had once believed that things couldn't get any worse. He never could have imagined that even now, Gumong could still crush his already fractured heart. Before he came to Lome Pavilion, Moji had nursed a little bit of hope in his chest. He had hoped Gumong was still the same unyielding man whose conscience would never let him bow to the powerful. If that were the case, Moji's heart, which Gumong had covered in scars, might have yet felt some measure of relief. But Gumong wouldn't even grant him the slightest bit of ease. Moji felt like the bones in his flesh were shaking, trembling from hatred. Gumong had actually spent these years in Lome Pavilion, where the slaves were treated worse than livestock. Moji didn't know whether he should feel satisfaction at the traitor's punishment as Jihejun, or anguish over an old friend's ruination as Moji. The door opened with a thump. Moji tensed instantly, like a falcon sighting prey. Without turning, he was certain the sound had come from Gumong's direction. A man was leaving Gumong's room, cursing up a storm. He spat phlegm into the ground, continuing to swear as he stomped down the stairs. The sharp scent of wine filled the hallway. The departing guest was obviously a drunken alcoholic. Moji stood frozen in place. Only after a long while, when the scent of wine had dissipated, did he lift his head and close his eyes. When he slowly opened them again, he was filled with a strange calm. Stepping silently, he made his way back to Gumong's door. He paused, then lifted one black leather military boot and pushed open the carved lacquered door that someone else had closed moments ago. The room was dark, lit by a single oil lamp. He was still filled with the nauseating scent of alcohol. Moji walked in with his jaw clenched and glanced around, only to find the room empty. Halfway through his second survey of the room, he heard splashing from behind a screen. Moji's blood surged fretfully once again. Gumong was bathing. This realization felt like being hit with a rod, the strike making him dizzy. He had suppressed so many emotions, betrayal, disappointment, loathing, hatred, to the point of madness, until his heart was bleeding, the blood rushing up against the current to dye his eyes red. Biting his lip, he forced himself to turn away. His nails had sunk deep into his palms before he managed barely to restrain that overflowing fury. He hadn't realized he would be so angry even now, that his rage had only grown with the passage of time. Moji sat at the little round table, closing his eyes to avoid losing control. As he waited for Gumong to emerge, he thought, when Gumong saw him, what expression would Gumong have? When he saw Gumong, what should he say? Moji gritted his teeth and sat in silence for a long time. He didn't even notice when the sound of water stopped. He was too busy hating Gumong's lack of dignity. Only when the room was illuminated by a second lamp did Moji come to his senses. Turning, he saw a young man, clad in only a white robe, standing by the lampstand, and quietly looking at him. Moji didn't know how long he had been standing there. The face was the same as the one in his memories. It was merely a little thinner. I'm not ready for this. I'm really not ready for this. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The young man stood without making a sound, a magical shackle visible where his robes hung loose at the collar. He was barefoot, his inky black hair unbound and draping obediently down over one shoulder. It set off the thinness and paleness of his face, making his eyes seem extraordinarily bright. His hair was still wet from his bath, and water streamed down his nape to his collarbones, to his chest, disappearing into the shadows beneath his robe, and leaving faint smudges of wetness. Gumong. Gumong. In the terrifying stillness, the sound of pleasure from the next room over were all the more piercing. The rims of Moji's eyes were red, and his clenched knuckles were shaking. He stared at the man before him. He swallowed, wanting to say something, but rendered mute. At last, they had met again. Finally, they were reunited. Moji had thought of so many questions, but he couldn't seem to remember a single one. All that flashed in his blurry sight was a scene many years ago at the battleship. The blue and gold ribbon was askew on Gumong's forehead as he lifted Moji's face with that bloody dagger. Expression unreadable as he said, "I really will kill you." Back then, Moji had thought that might be the end to their story. Yet now their paths had crossed again. Gumong was standing right in front of Moji, his expression serene as he regarded him silently. To be honest, it was laughable. There was such hatred between them, but in this moment, Moji's first reaction was distress. He had not seen Gumong come in, and therefore had missed the look on Gumong's eyes when he first caught sight of Moji. Now Gumong seemed serene and undisturbed, as if he were looking at any guest who had entered his room in the past 2 years. He was devoid of any emotion, Moji recognized. Somehow, it was a peaceful reunion. The two of them gazed at each other for a while, then Gumong walked over and sat down next to Moji. Perhaps because Moji had never expected Gumong to move so calmly, he unconsciously shifted back, although his face remained impassive. What? Gumong retrieved a little bamboo scroll from the table and handed it to him without a word. Moji didn't know what Gumong meant by this, but he took the scroll and opened it under the faint lamplight. When he skimmed through it, his blood boiled, then ran cold. In the end, he closed his eyes and slammed the scroll on the table. The piece shattered. Gumong. Moji stared at him, still restraining himself, but the lava in his eyes surged as his knuckles cracked. Have you lost your fucking mind? Gumong said, You need to choose. His voice was smooth as satin, slightly husky and very deep, although he picked up the scroll and passed it to Moji. Choose something. What do you think I came here to do? Gumong's vocabulary seemed to have been reduced to only one word. Choose. Moji was angry enough to ascend, his chest heaving, his bright black eyes ferocious. The red within their depths grew deeper and deeper. Fury, disappointment, hatred, and sorrow, all reflected in the bloody crimson of his eyes. He held that little bamboo scroll for a long time before he flung it back onto the table. The scroll fell open. Lome Pavilion's prices were meticulously displayed within, from conversation and companionable drinking to venting rage, abuse, and Moji looked away. If you don't choose, then what should I do? Moji was about to lose his mind, but he still endured. In truth, his temper was horribly explosive, but he had become a master at suppressing it. What do you mean? He ground out. Gumong looked at him placidly, his eyes like the still waters of an ancient well. Aren't you here to bed whores? Moji's expression froze on his face. He couldn't believe someone had actually said these words to him. He felt a twisting in his gut. Gumong, you... Everyone comes here to do these things, Gumong said. If you haven't, why come? He pulled the scroll closer for the third time, picking it up and unfolding it for Moji. Choose or leave. Boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy, that's the end of the chapter. That is, in fact, the end of the chapter. My God. My God. Let me see how long the next the next chapter is really short. The next chapter is called Losing Control. So I'm not sure what that means, but I'm going to skim this one a little bit. I'm going to skim this one too, just in case. Just in case. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. What? Oh, okay. Oh man. How are we feeling, by the way? How are we feeling about this? How are we feeling? I'm scared. Every chapter unopened. I know every single chapter is a fucking cliffhanger. Mipa is particularly she likes to do this a lot. She likes to leave us on cliffhangers a lot. I've noticed from Urha. And clearly this one. I don't think they actually do anything in this chapter. I think they'd just be angry. Oh man. I think they just rah 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 rah. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is too much. Oh my god. Yo, even just skimming this is beautifully written. Holy shit. Just skimming it. Okay, I see where this is going. Damn, this is gonna be good, by the way. By the way, this is gonna be good. I think we're safe, though. I'm pretty sure we're safe. At least for this chapter. I think this one will be the last chapter. And then, yeah. Yeah, we'll pick it up next week on Friday. After this chapter. Chapter 7, Losing Control, on page 79. Oh, man. Ooh, okay. If someone had gone back in time and told Moji 3 days ago, Jihujun, I'll let you in on a secret. 3 days from now, you're going to bed a whore. Jihujun would have, without a doubt, broken all their teeth and shattered their face. But now he didn't seem to have any other choice. In the end, he rapped his knuckles on the line that said, conversation. As he chose, his expression was dark, features filled with repressed shadow. Moji had made his choice. Gumong held his hand out to him. What do you want? I'm gonna repeat that because that wasn't the right tone. What do you want? Give me money. You... Moji was enraged, his eyes red, so much so that he couldn't even articulate his anger. Gumong didn't make a sound. He only spread his fingers and waited. He was speaking very little now, not talking unless he had to. But the General Gu in Jihujun's memories spoke often. Ow. That hurts me. When he was facing the soldiers on the drill grounds beneath the blazing sun, he had always strode about, proud and powerful, pacing back and forth and shouting at them as his skin glistened with sweat like crystal droplets on a panther's fur. He always grinned brilliantly, his black eyes bright and shining, a little canine peeking out. Moji gave Gumong the most valuable unit of currency in Changhua, a golden cowrie. What? No, cowrie. A golden cowrie. Got it. Gumong didn't thank him. He stood and walked to a shelf, took down a little jar, and carefully put the cowrie shell inside. Then he placed the jar back on the shelf. Moji watched with cold eyes, his heart filled with complicated emotions, wrath, hatred, resentment, blame, all of it. Looking at Gumong's silhouette, he asked in a frigid voice, "How much money have you saved in that jar of yours? How many people did you let curse at you, degrade you, trample over you? How many people did you sleep with?" That's in his head, in italics, in his head. God. Gumong said nothing. He put the jar back and returned to sit in front of Moji. Under the hazy light, Gumong's face was difficult to see clearly. Moji couldn't detect any minute expression on that face, nothing he hadn't already caught. Gumong was too calm, so calm it was unnatural. Had 2 years of disgrace already ground away the last of his pride? But Moji hadn't yet made him pay, hadn't even heard him admit his wrongs. How could Gumong have cast his body aside so easily, leaving Moji nothing but an empty shell? You gave me a gold cowrie. I don't need change. I can't afford change, Gumong said honestly. With that, he opened the bamboo scroll and gave it to Moji. So you can choose something more. You can pick anything from here. Moji stared at him, speechless. He watched Gumong's face, but saw not the slightest hint of humiliated pain. There was only the tranquility with which he asked Moji to choose more services, as if doing so was nothing out of the ordinary. Sorry, I'm burpy now. Moji turned his head, his jaw clenched so tight it was on the verge of cracking. How strange. Shouldn't he have expected this? First, it had been bedding prostitutes. Later, it had been treason. As Gumong crossed Moji's lines with impunity again and again, Gumong had already told him, "Don't take sleeping together too seriously," a long time ago. Now he was selling his body in order to stay alive. He had just gone from sleeping with others to being slept with. What was there to be surprised about? Oh my god. Why are good questions just in his head? I know. I know. I don't want to choose. Moji grew more and more irritated, a furor in his chest about to break free. He couldn't endure a second longer. He suddenly got up, his expression bitter as frost. I'm leaving. It seemed Gumong had never experienced a situation like this. A degree of helplessness finally arose in his eyes. He wanted to say something, but he didn't know what to say. Moji had already turned away when Gumong pulled on his sleeve to stop him. Moji was at his absolute limit. His anger flickered dangerously, ready to burst into flames at any moment. What the hell do you want? Again, Gumong couldn't answer. He turned back to the shelf, picking up the money jar once more. He took out the golden cowrie and quietly returned it to Moji's hands. Then I'll give this back to you. Moji stared at him. Goodbye. There were a few heartbeats of dead silence. With a loud crash, Moji grabbed that bamboo scroll. Teeth grinding together, he shoved it before Gumong's eyes. How did it feel to spend these past 2 years here, doing such depraved and unspeakable things? Were you ever satisfied? You can stand the kind of life where someone slaps you and tosses you some money for your troubles? The lava had finally broken free of its confines, those crazed emotions erupting from him all at once. Moji's pupils flashed scarlet as he panted, but his eyes were filled with tears. To think you'd offer yourself like this. Are you still the same, Gumong? Look at yourself now. I can't believe I used to be friends with someone like you, fought people for you, even treated you as my... He couldn't continue. He looked like he had been poisoned by wrath, so angry his lips were quivering. The lamps, lit by spiritual energy, flickered with the surge of his emotions. They blazed bright and then dim, silhouetting the two as they stood staring at each other. Moji grabbed Gumong by the lapels. Gumong had nowhere to hide. All he could do was let his clothes fall into further disarray. They were almost nose to nose, their eyes practically touching. Moji's chest heaved violently. He stared at Gumong for a beat in this way before his gaze fell across Gumong's bare shoulder. It was covered in black and blue welts. Moji's head rang as if a fuse had blown out. The scarlet rage in his eyes was joined by an emotion he couldn't clearly describe. That emotion made him lash out and seize Gumong by the jaw, shoving him against the shelf. His other hand slammed into the wall next to Gumong's face, and he pinned him beneath his bulk. The lamps that had struggled so valiantly finally lost against the spiritual energy exploding from Moji and abruptly went out. In the darkness, Moji stared at Gumong's face from inches away. Those rough, callous fingers dug pitilessly into Gumong's cheeks and lips. Even his voice was filled with hate. though it remained low and hoarse. So furious was Moji that he didn't notice the strange color of Gumong's irises, nor the flicker of Gumong's shock. To live, to earn a little money, you would do anything, right? Moji, Moji, please. Moji, please stop. Moji. Oh my God. Moji's tight hold seemed to bring Gumong more discomfort than he could bear. His cheeks gradually flushed as he finally reacted and started to struggle in Moji's grip. But Moji had lost his last hold on rationality. He couldn't see Gumong's pain. They were surrounded by so much darkness, a darkness like death. Their rooms on either side overflowed with the moaning of women, and the panting of men constantly reminded Moji of where they were. But Gumong did hear what the two of them could be doing. Moji was a little startled by the impulse that flashed through his mind, his scalp prickling. The woman next door seemed to reach her climax. Her gasps came quicker and sharper, the thumping of flesh so clear in the darkness that it could have been right by his ear. Gumong stifled struggles beneath Moji didn't let up in the slightest. They looked to him like shameless attempts at seduction. Moji's eyes slowly darkened, molten iron bubbling in their depths, terrifyingly scalding, from rage or from something else. Let go. Moji didn't let go. He simply scoffed, a sound devoid of satisfaction, filled with extreme disappointment and hateful jealousy. When he spoke, it was with bitter hostility, and perhaps some entirely different emotion. His voice searing with sparks so rough, even he found it ridiculous. He bent down to hiss through gritted teeth right into Gumong's ear. What do you want me to choose? You want me to take you to bed? To fuck you? He was answered by silence. Haven't I fucked you enough? He'd spoken too impulsively. The sound of the words shocked even his own ears. Moji almost never said anything like this. He was the sort of person who frowned as soon as Yue Chunqing told body stories. Bawdy. But here now he had been driven to the brink, and the words bursting thoughtlessly from his mouth. They were savage, menacing, cruel. They had lain dormant. They sounded like despair. Moji cursed under his breath, punching the shelf without warning. Gumong's little coin jar swayed and fell to the floor, where it loudly shattered. Moji turned toward the sound, his uncomprehending gaze sweeping over the mess. After a moment, he realized something and let go of Gumong. He straightened up and turned to look at the floor. Moonlight spilled through the window. As it turned out, in that little coin jar, there was nothing at all. Gumong hadn't received even one slight, small white cowrie. The jar was empty. I need to take a lap. What the fuck? What the fuck was that? Oh my god. I'm gonna get bonked soon, real fast. I know it is. I know I'm gonna be, but like, oh my god. What do you mean? What do you mean he doesn't have a single calorie? What do you mean? That's the end of the chapter, by the way. That's how that chapter ends. Yeah. The next chapter is chapter 8. It's called Gumong Has It Rough. I'm sure he does. I'm so sure that he does. I'm gonna put this down now. 1 second. I'm gonna put this down. Guys, what the fuck was that? Actually, what the fuck was that? Actually, I think I'm gonna cry. How am I supposed to wait till next week? How am I supposed to wait till next week to continue? How is this supposed to... How am I supposed to do this? How... I don't know. Oh my god. I'm just gonna cry. I'm just gonna cry like a baby. What do you mean? Oh my god, I can't take this. I can't fucking take this. Who the fuck is that? Sorry, I just saw an illustration. Goddamn. Okay, so that's where we have to end off for today because it's been... How long is this next chapter? No, this next chapter is a little longer. But yeah. We've read 4 chapters, right? It was 4 chapters. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we read 4 chapters this stream. It's almost 2 hours. I think we all need to process for a little bit. But we also need to know what happens next. Oh god. How am I supposed to wait another week? I swear to god, I gotta do these like double streams for these ones. Like double times a week. For reading streams. Because god damn, how am I supposed to wait? I guess I'll just die. I guess I'll die. I guess I'll go into hibernation for a week or something. You know? I don't need to exist for 7 days. 6 days, I guess. I don't need to exist for 6 days. That's fine. I can just go to hibernation. This book is so good. It's so good. Guys, it's so good. I just have to wait. I don't know. Oh no. But I know if I push myself and read another chapter, I'm gonna be like... I'm gonna be even more fried, you know? Like, my brain is already a bit fried. So, like, it's like 80% there. If I push it until 100%, I'm gonna be on bed rest. So... Oh no. What if I just read without y'all? What if I just read without y'all? That's fine, I can read it again. I can read a couple chapters again. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. We're all gonna suffer the same amount, okay? Unless you have the book and you're gonna read ahead. But yeah, that's that. I'm gonna go leave you on that cliffhanger. That's the thing with this book, with Meatbun, she always leaves on cliffhangers, always. So it's like the next chapter is gonna be the same thing, so it doesn't even matter. At least I don't have it. Oh, okay. You should get it, honestly, just for the illustrations, or like maybe like ask your library if they have it or something. I don't know. I don't know. The illustrations are so pretty. Oh, oh no. I'm so sad. I'm so sad. I know I'm smiling, but it's because I love being sad. Oh my god, it's truly like, don't know whether to laugh or cry. That's so good. That's so good. I can't express how beautiful the writing is. It's so pretty, and I can experience everything firsthand right by the characters, you know? It's just so beautifully written, and every bit of alliteration and every bit of like, I don't know literary terms, but yeah. Now you want to see the pictures? Yeah, I'll bet you do. I'm sure they're online somewhere, but like going along with the book and like seeing the illustrations come up, it's peak. It's peak. It is beautiful. Ooh. Okay. Are we okay? Are we all okay? Are we good? I'm okay. I'm moving my phone a little. I'm okay. I'll be okay, and then we'll do this all over again next week, and then I won't be okay, but then I'll be okay. Oh man. Anyway, I've been thinking about maybe making another YouTube channel, because I want to do more music stuff. I'm sorry, this is so off topic and whatever, but it has to do with like my VODs and stuff. I want to do more music content, and I don't think it belongs on the same channel where I'm posting all my VODs. So I might put that on a separate channel, but I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I got the fish book for my friend so I can see the pictures there. Oh, yay. The pictures in that are so cute. Most, like, so many of them are chibi. It's so cute. Oh my god. I love that fish book. But yeah, I think I might split channels or something. But that means I have to re-upload my covers, which might be a bit weird. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Cause how am I supposed to? What if okay? I don't know. It's either I re-upload my covers or I re-upload my VODs, and VODs take a lot longer. But also, covers, you know, there's a whole promotional aspect before that, and it's like, oh, watch my cover, hee trailer of my cover, blah blah blah. So it's like, I don't know if, oh man, I just don't know. I should have thought of this from the beginning, and I didn't, because of course I didn't. Because of course I didn't. I don't look ahead. I didn't think I'd get this far. I didn't think I'd get here. But anyway, that's just some, I don't know, brain farts. Brain farts? Brain nonsense. Brain. This book has killed me. This book has killed me. And also, pray for me that I don't get bonked, please. On either here or on the white YT. But yeah. That's all for today, I guess. I guess that's all for today. Thanks for joining, thanks for watching, and I don't think we're gonna raid anyone. I don't think we want to bring this energy into anyone else's stream, so we're just gonna end here. And I hope you have, hang on, this sneeze is coming back. The sneeze at the beginning of the stream that didn't actually come, but now it's not even here anymore. It's gone. Okay. Yeah, I hope you have a good, great, wonderful rest of your day. I hope you're okay. If I have anybody in any certain perilous situations around the world, since there are a lot of perilous situations around the world watching, then I hope I wish you the best. And I don't pray, but in a sense that, like, in the sense that it the prayer, you know what I mean? Like, I pray for you, you know? But I don't pray, but I do. But you know, I hope you're okay. I hope you're okay, taking care of yourself. Yeah, have a good rest of your day. I'm going, goodbye.